Are we seeing evidence of giants everywhere and just continue to ignore it? Like this guy who just recently saw a giant peeking through and closing a stone door in some cliff rocks up in Oregon, and he's definitely not the first. Have a look at this. Petroglyph cave paintings all around the world, over 15,000 years old. Giants. Ancient Indian mythology had the Vedas beings, which were over 32 feet tall. In the Old Testament, we got the Nephilim, especially in the Book of Enoch. The Quran had the people of Ad, a nation of giants. Ancient Egyptians had their carvings and drawings of extremely large people in chairs and carrying megalithic stones. Mayans and Aztecs across the ocean in Central America had their own depictions of towering humans. And the Sumerians, well, they had the Anunnaki, winged beings 12 to 15 feet tall. And I promise that video's coming. That came down from the sky, bred with humans, and gave birth to giants. And this particular story formula here has been repeated in so many of these ancient civilizations' lore. And then we actually started finding them. Hundreds of skeletons of these supposed mythical giant creatures uncovered all over the world, most notably in North America. Found all over the US and even into Canada and Mexico, carbon dating analyses showed that these remains were much older than even the native indigenous people. And even these Native American tribes who had zero contact with the Egyptians and the Sumerians had their own legends of a time when enormous humans roamed the earth. Like the Choctaw tribe in present-day Mississippi had stories of the Nahulo, a race of giants that ate humans, another common characteristic among these stories. And there's the Native American myth from the Paiute tribe of red-haired giants called the Siteka that also ate humans, who according to legend were burned alive in Lovelock Cave, Nevada after a long battle. The cave was even excavated and findings were published in 1929 that reported enormous handprints on the wall, Paleolithic artifacts, human bones with the marrow removed, which could be an indicator of cannibalism, a size 29 sandal which would belong to someone at least 8 feet tall, massive clothing, and finally mummified remains of a female skeleton 7 feet tall and a male 9 feet tall were also found, both with red hair. Checkaroo, that sounds like giants to me. What's crazy is that's literally only the tip, so let me show you the whole shaft. 1833, a sarcophagus unearthed in Lompoc Rancho, California, 12 feet long with an intact skeleton inside. 1870, an article in the Oil City Times reported an 18-foot skeleton discovered in West Hickory, Pennsylvania. 1872, a New York Times report of giant skeletons with 2 rows of teeth found near Serpent Mound, Ohio. 1913, skulls of giant human skeletons that would have been 10 feet tall found in Ozark Caves, Arkansas. Esteemed professors like this guy, Thomas Wilson, who worked for the Smithsonian, even stated, the authenticity of these finds were beyond any doubt. But of course, do some Google debunking yourself and it'll tell you every one of these reports was a hoax. Yeah, because there were over 1,000 accounts of these giant remains found all over North America and every single one of them was just a prank, right? I mean, they were actually finding skeletons in the ground and had tangible proof, so let's just take a look at the bones and we can lay this one to rest. The newspaper articles, journals, town histories and such that outline these finds cite a common recipient of these remains, the Smithsonian, the world-leading museum education and research institution created by the good old US government. Groundbreaking discoveries about human history? Of course we can trust the government to tell us the truth. But actually, for the longest time, no one ever suspected any sketchy business from federal agencies until some sketchy business started happening. In 1892, more wooden coffins measuring up to 12 feet long were discovered in Crumps Cave, Alabama, and were sent to the Smithsonian as with everything else. More than 50 years went by and they never said anything about them. So in 1950, a researcher pulls out the good old Freedom of Information card and basically asks them, hey yo, where they at? Smithsonian hits him back with, our records show that we got them, but we can't seem to find it. Kinda like NASA overwriting the tapes of the original moon landing, huh? Then again, in 1992, another researcher asks, and finally, after 100 years since the original find, he's told that the coffins weren't coffins, but food troughs for feeding cattle from a time period in which animal domestication wasn't even practiced in North America. And when he asked if he could see it, they told him it was in a warehouse that was contaminated with asbestos for 10 years. Yeah, this is the real documented story, which they probably could have gotten away with if it wasn't for the good old internet. Hey, he tried as best as he can, right? So basically, the Smithsonian has all the bones, which are technically native cultural artifacts. But hey, I got some good news that could finally show us the actual truth once and for all. Back in 1990, the U.S. passed a law stating that federal agencies must return all native cultural artifacts back to their tribes upon request. Well, hot diggity dang, if that sounds too good to be true, it is. If you look into this act on the US government official website, a fine print subsection clause from the law itself explicitly states that the Smithsonian is exempt from this act. Man, it really don't get any more bait than that. This is some evil genius shit. If you don't know what to think of this, let me remind you of a famous quote from Ronald Reagan. The 9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government, and I'm here to help.